We are launching a brand new generation of Varilux called Varilux X Series.
The consumer is changing, the patient is changing, their needs and visual requirements are changing, and we've embraced that and embedded that into our next generation of Varilux.
The Varilux X Series range, that requires the patient to not have to search for the position on the lens, which will allow them to be able to resolve a target at whatever distance it is. From that particular point of view, they can get multiple targets through the same point, looking through the lens, and that is really, really powerful to the end wearer.
I think X will make differences for all customers when they will be able to use their car and see clear very quickly all the different devices in their dashboard, GPS.
That's 70 centimetres to 40 centimetres. That particular range, spherical range, is incredibly important to a new reading presbyope.
Those situations when you clearly need a volume of vision in your sphere of vision will be better with the X series compared to all of the other progressive lenses.
We've probably dispensed a couple of hundred pairs now of the X, and the vast majority of those have been collected. And the consistent theme that comes across from patients is that they are quite amazed at the depth of the vision they get.
I would say to the patient, point your nose where you want to look, and to be aware of them, just sort of affording them the advice around what they'd have to do in wearing a varifocal lens. And that was okay, but it's interesting that this new generation coming through, which is the new generation of presbyopes, they don't seem to want to be able to afford the time for that. And given the new devices that are within their environment, they can't. So varifocal lens design, by definition, needs to change.
And it is now time to find out what wearers think about Varilux X Series.
From the beginning of April, we've implemented it within the practices and switched patients who are existing S wearers directly over to X, as well as also spoken to other lens wearers about the benefits that X and the bespoke version of X offers them. And what we found is that we have had a fantastic uptake in moving to X design lenses, and people love the idea of the innovation that it brings.
We've benchmarked Varilux X Series against Varilux S Series, our current best-selling varifocal lens. And what you can see on this slide is that 88% of wearers prefer Varilux X Series. And this is across all the aspects of the lens, so being the near distance, intermediate, distance, but also on dynamic vision.
So normally when we change products, particularly from someone who's been experienced at wearing that lens for a while, that style of lens for a while, we would expect some positives and generally, oh yeah, it's better, it seems much better, I'm quite happy with it. But what we're finding with X design is that actually you're getting quite extreme versions of that, with people saying, wow, this is absolutely amazing, this is so much better than it was previously, and they're very, very positive about it.
100% of wearers were very satisfied with the lenses whilst watching a movie and sending a text at the same time.
This is the first time we achieve 95% satisfaction with a product in all the tests we have performed in R&D during the 60 years of development of products.
So I think we're seeing both internally with the staff who are wearing them, as well as with patients, you're getting quite an extreme reaction. And I don't think that was true when we moved from Physio to S. This, to me, seems to be a much bigger jump.
We need to keep going beyond. We need new, more than features in a design. We need to keep driving forward with higher, ever better performance in a varifocal lens design. And that's what Varilux X Series delivers. So we'll have a complete range of materials. In terms of the actual range powers, that's as extensive as was with Varilux S Series. The coatings that we can apply to it, exactly the same. Transitions and polarizing, exactly the same as with S Series. We've got a slight limitation in terms of, there's no airwear that's available in Lineus 174. It wouldn't be available, but that will come to complete the range. So we're clean through CR39, Orma, through to 174 by July. Wrap frame could create a slight issue because if a wrap frame, especially if it's minus power, so if it's a myopic patient, would have to change the base too much, and by changing the base curve, that's going to have a big influence and impact on the actual performance. So we would block that. But the majority of other frames, absolutely fine. So we're taking the price points that we have with the Varilux S Series, and we're just adding a small amount to that particular price of just £2 a lens. And again, we're working ever closer with signature accounts and other partners of the the Essilor group who dispense a good amount of our product, and we work very closely with them.